Whenever I manage to try and make a video on the channel, I follow 3 principles. First, I always want to cover something slightly obscure, meaning that the topic has not been covered to death by thousands of other video essayists. Second, I don't really want to waste your time, which is why you don't really see super long videos on the channel. For example, I don't want to make videos like an hour long of me repeating the same thing or going over just stuff that doesn't really matter. Anyway, third, I always try to find something that genuinely allures me and interests me. And when I discovered the Atlanta Blood House, the story was so strange and compelling that, needless to say, I was hooked. Right around midnight on the evening of September 8th, 1987, Minnie Winston, a 77-year-old, was bathing until approximately 11:30 when she stepped out of the bath. Soon after, she noticed that the bathroom tiles were weirdly sticky when she walked around. Figuring that the cause of the stickiness was from the water, which would also be bizarre, but what she discovered seemed like it came from a Stephen King novel. The bathroom floor was covered in a spurting red substance, which looked like blood. Now, when most people see unexplainable blood covering the floor, I would like to believe that a little bit of panic would set in, trying to point out the source as soon as possible. But as stated by Minnie, initially she didn't even get scared because she didn't know where it was coming from, but it's still kind of strange. Just blood covering your floor. Expectedly, this nonchalance toward the phenomenon did not last, as Minnie began to ponder that the source of the blood could be from her husband, 79-year-old Willie Winston. For background, Willie has been in bad shape for a while, leading him being bedridden and needing a dialysis machine. And due to his frailness and poor condition, panic eventually struck in Minnie as she realized the possibility of Willie getting hurt somehow. Soon after, she ran about the Atlanta home, calling her husband's name. While searching, she would discover more pools and leaks of the red substance in one of the hallways, which eventually crescendoed into a violent stream of it spraying from the floorboards. Much of the hallway was now stained red. And with this, Minnie's panic was reaching a boiling point, scrambling to reach Willie's room. And when she eventually did, Willie was asleep. The contrast in atmosphere could not be more prevalent between the Winston house and the offices of the Atlanta Police Department, as the APD was currently celebrating an officer's birthday in the homicide squad. This celebratory mood, however, was soon shifted by a telephone ring. Upon being answered, the department was in a state of confusion as echoes of mysterious blood seemed to be leaking out of a property in Fountain Drive, with no apparent explanation. Following the call, lab technician Brenda Dipple, who is experienced in discovering the origins of blood on a crime scene, was sent to the Winston home with a few other officers and EMT to investigate the matter and to see if Minnie or Willie was hurt. Upon reaching the ordinary working-class home, the officers were greeted by the elderly couple in good condition. They claimed that nobody was hurt, nobody had showed up, and there were no leaks from the dialysis machine. A little later, the property managers went to look about the property, checking for any broken pipes or any possible source of the strange liquid. With this comes the iconic photo of the property manager finding more of the substance beneath the TV stand in the basement. At this point, many people were still confused on what the liquid actually was, and some were dismissive of the whole house bleeding theory, understandably. So that is where Brenda Dipple comes in. Walking around the house, Brenda took samples of the substance in a variety of places. And whilst exploring the home, she admits that she felt chills up her spine. like some sort of paranormal happening was going on. And with this, there were two options. Either the substance was something ordinary like red latex paint, or some sort of iron colored water, I don't know. Or it was probably the worst possible outcome. Human blood. It was human blood. And in fact, after being analyzed in the crime lab, it was determined to be type O, ruling out the theory that the blood came from the Winstons, seeing that they were both type A. So now we have a huge mystery. It is hard to believe that the Winstons did any kind of murder, seeing that, for one, they're both elderly, and two, there's blood all over the house and even like in weird spots like the TV stand. So detectives were understandably confused, and they had a question. Where did the blood come from and who? So following this initial investigation, the APD did many press conferences and got many other detectives involved in the case for the origin of the blood. This even concludes in people investigating blood banks to see if any was missing. But nonetheless, no answers were found. And so came the paranormal theories of some previous owner haunting the house, and also connections to previous history. For example, during the time of the Roman Empire, the 3rd century bishop, Januarius of Benevento, was beheaded for trying to save Christians held in jail from violent persecution. After dying, it was reported that blood would be seen in places he previously visited, including a basin in Naples, Italy, that the nurse used to handle his body. Anyways, with the mystery of the blood house spreading through the neighborhood and media, people of varying intentions began to show up to the house, leading to many sleepless and worrisome nights shared by the elderly couple. Even news anchors would stand outside the home, crawling to get any answer they could about the blood. But just like the APD, there was nothing. All that is known and is still known is that one late night, blood began oozing from various sections of the Atlanta home with no apparent origin, and with no possibility of a crime being committed, as stated by a lieutenant assigned with the case, quote, "We're through with it," end quote. Soon after this, the police began to distance themselves from the case, leaving the mystery of the Atlanta blood house unsolved.